All right, welcome back. We're going to continue the teardown of this Traxxas Bandit VXL model. So in previous videos, we just took apart the front end, right? We removed the top plate with the servo, removed the servo. We also took the front end apart and then reconstructed it. So now we have this part over here. So we're going to remove a few more components in this video. The first thing we need to do is in the very first part, we remove the body, the front part of the body. Now we have to remove the rear part of the body, which includes the wing. This is held down by a body clip right here in the middle. But you also have these two wires which hold down the wing, but the wing is actually screwed onto this part here. So you cannot remove this piece unless you remove the wing because it is bolted on. So you see those little screws. Cannot remove it. So you need to pop these out. There's no oppressors or anything here, set screws, right? So this actually just comes out. So just use some pliers. Now in the kits that I showed you in the previous video, you have these pliers here which are curved. I like using these because I can just pry. I can grab and then pry up. And you probably weren't able to see in the angle, but notice it is now further out compared to that one. Right, there's a difference in the length. So I'm going to use it this way again. Again, I like them because I can just hold and roll. Hold and roll. Now I'm going to do this one as well because I want it to come out somewhat evenly. Right, it's not even, but somewhat evenly. So grab, roll, and it'll start popping out. There we go. And then it gets to there, and you should be able to just remove by hand. And that is it. Now, if you needed to remove this wing, all you would do is just use your driver. So you have your 2mm driver here, and then you would just spin, and that is it. This is actually like a nut, and it just slides on your wing. And the reason why, I'm going to remove this for now, this may be important is depending on the conditions, you may want to move the wing forward or back depending on how much drag you want. So you would just loosen this. By loosening this, notice how it's now kind of spinning. Here, let's see. There we go. So the silver part, it's now loose. You can kind of spin on the wire, so the wire is now free to move. So that's why you would do that. So you can actually adjust the wing. So we have this. Now the wing, I can slide front to back just by moving this wire. And that's the reason why. You want it to sit further up, you want it to sit further back, the wing. So if you want more drag, put it back there. But yeah, that's all you do. And then you would just retighten where you want the position. But that's the wing. And we have the wing, rear body, right? This would mount this way on the car. That's the way it would look. Very nice body. Traxxas, they have really nice bodies, really nice work on the bodies. But right now, we are interested in this. Now, you may want to remove the tires. Again, the tires, pretty simple. You just have to remove the nuts here on the tires. And again, 7mm, so it's the same front and rear as far as the nuts. Something that you may want to consider is getting the serrated nuts. And you can use any brand as long as it fits, but Traxxas does make some really nice ones, and they're a really beautiful blue anodize. They just hold a little better, especially if you're going to be putting some power, such as that 3S power. Once you do this, you just remove the wheel. You may have to wiggle a little. And there it goes. Again, for the Bandit, the pin's over here, so don't worry. For the Bandit, there's no hexes in the rear because the pin is just right there. So if you are planning on maybe wheels and not using the Traxxas wheels, you may want to consider using hexes because most buggies, Team Associated, for example, Losi, they use hexes there. And they'll fit right over the pin. It's a standard size pin. But anyway, here you go. Do not lose those pins. You can put the wheels aside. Let me just remove the other one. If you're also worried about losing parts, something else that you can do is you can put a magnet nearby to catch it. There's also these little trays or bowls with a magnet on the bottom. Keep your screws there. I'm not worried about them because I've taken these. They generally fall really close as long as you don't jerk the vehicle and, you know, throw something across the room accidentally. But anyway, here we go. So we've removed the rear wheels. Now, you may have to remove the rear wheels for a variety of reasons. Maybe you want to go into here. And something that I'm going to recommend is these here, they break. I mean, these break like no tomorrow. As soon as it tumbles, usually this is the first thing to go out. RPM makes some really good ones. Proline either makes some or used to make some that actually has more adjustments. I think originally they came out for the Slash for the Pro Track. But you can just get the RPM. RPM generally makes black or blue. They used to make green. They probably make green as well. It's a nice green. It's like a lime green. But these are the ones you're going to be replacing. But we're going to work on this a little later. Right now, my biggest thing is to remove the ESC. So let me just remove the ESC. So you just pull, try to grab the plastic, not the wires, and then pull up, and then just take this out. Now, in a previous video, we removed the receiver box. The receiver box just has a few screws. You're going to need a 2.5 to remove this, and a 2 to remove that little cover there. This is the little cover, just as a reminder, that's sat here. All right. Now, you're going to need your driver to go in there, and for the ESC, it's just going to be your 2.5, and you're going to remove those 2 screws. So there's one in the front of the vehicle, and there's one in the rear. On the Bandit, it sits transversely. On a Slash, it would fit alongside the vehicle. Really has to do just with the space of the vehicle. But here we go. All right. I'm just going to leave the screw here. Once you remove it, this is where I like pulling the connectors apart. So these are just little bullet connectors, and then you can just pull the cables one by one, and then you just start removing, and that's it. So that's how you remove the ESC. So here we have the VXL 3S, the Lineon ESC. These ESCs are actually very good ESCs. I like them. They're reliable. They work. You know, for the purpose of getting started and getting some speed, very good. Can you upgrade later and get a different ESC? Sure, you can. Are there better ESCs? Of course, but it depends on the purpose. If you're just going to be bashing or you're a starter, this is probably the greatest ESC you can just start with because of its simplicity. And they are tough, so they do take a lot of abuse. But here's the ESC. I'm going to keep the screws on there. I'll put this here to the side. All right, now you may have to replace the ESC for whatever reason. That's understandable. Sometimes what happens is that people will cut these connectors off and they'll put a different connector. Or if you are my nephew, for example, he had a battery with 4mm connectors, and the connector came loose from the battery and he accidentally plugged them in back. He set the thing on fire, and that was fun. Had to help him out and then buy him a new ESC. I mean, at that point, it's your fault. So you have to buy the stuff. I guess if you have an uncle that has these parts, he'll probably just give you a new ESC because he probably has a bunch of stuff lying around. So there we go. So that is the ESC removal. And then just to reinstall, you just reverse the process. Put the ESC in, put the screws in, and then plug everything together. So that's how you remove the rear wing and the ESC from a Traxxas Bandit. So I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be removing the motor.